Welcome back to another TAO Eternally call. Hello, everyone. We've got Hamid with us here, and we've got Randall, and quietly in the background, we've got Benjamin, and we've got two new people who aren't new to Randall at all, but we've got Faye and Don. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Where's Don and Faye from?
You go ahead.
Well, Faye started off in Canada and ended up in Alabama. And I started off in Alabama and ended in Alabama.
That must mean you're in Bama.
That's where we are.
That's awesome. Well, welcome. It's nice to have you. Nice to have some new faces here. Hamid, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Done
Getting-
with my month-long transition. So
Getting settled?
yeah, month of November was my plan B month because every single plan A I had fell through, and there were the simple, stupid little things, including my chair, and all my plan A's basically blew up, and my chair literally exploded while I was sitting on it. So yeah.
That's what happened to your couch. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, and then and then I had to go to plan B, and then to plan C, and then plan D, and then back to plan A, and yeah, it was a fun month.
Yeah, okay. Well,
I don't miss it.
If you are open to it, you can share more details in a little bit, because I'd love to
Yeah.
know the details about that a little bit more. But I'm going to say hello first of all to Randall, and then to Benjamin as well. Hello, Randall.
Howdy.
How's Calgary life?
Calgary's good. It's, the moronic looniverse is just, I've been having a lot of fun with that lately.
You have?
I actually, oh my goodness, it's been a ball. Like since they gifted us that Christmas gift of that word moronic that they mixed up the letters with, I entertain so many people with that word. It's just been so much fun, William. I can't even imagine.
And I know for you, it doesn't take too much to go in and have fun with things. So this is pretty good. Yeah, I like it.
I love people, brother. I love to talk to them. And all you got to do is smile at them and say, yeah, that guy over there, that's my psychiatrist. I'm here with a mental exemption. So just know that ahead of time. And we just have a ball. I had a friend even entertain me yesterday. He's a guy who cleans the washrooms at the core downtown. He's about my age, so he's seen more pricks than you can imagine, from it. So he doesn't have a problem with me whatsoever. So we get along really good. And I ran into him in a store shopping yesterday, and I mean, you couldn't even imagine the fun we had. And one of the stories was me explaining to the teller and the security guard that he was my psychiatrist. And he played along. It was just a very nice time. That's all.
Right. Awesome. Well, you can always count on those custodial engineers to come through when you need them. That's for sure.
I mean, they all both deal with waste. So
Very,
Are you
very
calling my attitude waste? I mean,
no, man, I'm saying psychologists and janitors both deal with waste.
Yeah. Okay. Good one. Good one. Benjamin, we don't
Hello.
see you. Are you only in word only today? Are you invisible?
I'm visible.
Oh, you're visible now. There you are.
there it
you
is.
are. The handsome guy from
Yeah.
Africa.
Thank you.
You still in Africa?
I haven't moved yet until we sort ourselves out. Maybe 2022, we'll start traveling again. When everything is over, you know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah, we know what you're talking about.
Mhm.
We'll get through the moronic phase.
We are almost there.
Almost there. All right, very good. I like that. All kinds of things. Now I have all these different places that we could go. I wanted to hear a little bit more about Hamid's plan A's that turned into plan B's that ended up being plan D's that came back to plan C's or something like that. Can you share a little
I
bit
just,
about what it looked like?
What, I was going to go through a transition. It was pretty significant. It's just that I didn't expect the transition to have another aspect of it, which was the matrix aspect of it. It was the simple little things like, like we were gonna move, and so, okay, let's look for a rental. We live in a, we think that, okay, rental would be easy. We rented the place and it was great and we liked it. And then after a couple of days, the person who was gonna rent us just canceled it. Like, you too troublesome to rent it to you. Like, what did I do? It didn't matter. This person had made up their mind, and I'm like, okay, great. And this city that we live in didn't seem too whatever crazy for people to move here. But after Canada and the US did everything they did, people are swarming to Mexico, and they were running away from their Canada. And so suddenly the prices and everything in our town went crazy. And places that you would go a year ago would come to our city, and you go to on Craigslist and lots of things would be found. Beginning of November, when I was looking for something like that, it wasn't like that at all. I had to jump at any opportunity. So that was number one. And then so that person didn't want to rent me the place. So that was my plan A. Then plan B was this place that I found, and it was nice, and I got this, and I was happy I got this. And then, okay, well, the simple issue of the internet, which is not it's not a big deal. And then I got the internet. I'm like, I talked to my landlady, and she's like, okay, well, find your own internet. And I'm like, okay. I found this internet, this company called Telmex. And I'm like, okay, I called Telmex and I said, I want to have service. And they're like, okay, cool. And then I'm like, okay, so when will I have service? Because, internet is important for me. In November, by December, I want to have internet. And then they every day they would send me emails and say, we will let you know when we will install your service. And this went on for 2 weeks, where it was really, really horrible because, that was my plan A, that was my Telmex. It's like, perfect, it's awesome. After 2 weeks, still didn't hear anything, and I went and tried to find another competitor, and then the competitor sucked. So, okay, fine, I'm gonna stay with Telmex. And then I found another company called Megacable, and then the Megacable people and said, oh, sure, no problem, they'll come in 2 days and they'll, will install your service. I'm like, yoo-hoo, yeah, finally. And then in the meantime, Telmex, which would never talk to me, actually called me and say, hey, we're gonna come install your service tomorrow. And I'm like, I'm sorry, guys, I already signed up with somebody else, and I'm canceling it. And I canceled them, and but then the next day again, they contacted me and I said, I already canceled it. And then I bring Megacable here, and it's, my plan B, and, they're great. And the guy comes and he's like, oops, yes, you're in the middle of downtown. You're in a great place, center of the city. And your apartment is brand new. Guess what? I can't give you Megacable. And I'm like, why? And he's like, well, the house next to you has underground internet connection, and I need, and the two houses, one on one side, one the other side, both can get internet, but yours, we can't give you Megacable. And I'm like, okay, fantastic. I just canceled Telmex, and my plan B fell through, and I'm gonna move soon. Okay, that's awesome. So, and then I found another service called Total Play. I'm like, yay, Total Play is, even the name is awesome. But I kept trying to get back Telmex, but Telmex would not talk to me. So I called I called Total Play, and Total Play said, tomorrow we'll come install your service. I'm like, yes, this is great. I want to work with Total Play. Telmex sucks. Screw Telmex. I don't want to have anything to do with Telmex. So Play comes the next day. They come to install service, and they're like, we install the service. We don't use underground thing. We use the thing from the, from the electric post. And oops, sorry, we can't give you internet because it's only Telmex here. We don't have any Total Play access here. So I'm like, okay, that was plan C, that fell through. How fantastic. And so I am living in the center of at the downtown of the city. Every apartment next to me, and my apartment is brand new, somehow underground or above the ground, neither of them. Matrix wanted me to have internet. And the thing that I really enjoy, I don't, is not knowing. And I was put in a situation that I didn't know what the hell is gonna happen for 2 weeks. It was funny because I was gonna work with William, and he kept saying, when? And I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know anything. And so I move into this place, and I'm like, okay, great, let's move in. And then I keep contacting Telmex, and I'm like, okay, you have monopoly for this. I beg of you to come and install my service. And Telmex doesn't contact me and doesn't say anything. And basically is one day, I mean, I've actually stayed in the place that I was supposed to move a week longer because I didn't have internet here. But I come here and I wait for Telmex, and I wait for Telmex, and Telmex doesn't give me the thing. And finally, and I can't talk to them, and they're really an amazing company, as you can see. This must be the testimonial for them. And then the day when I think that I'm gonna be screwed another 2 weeks, God knows what, Telmex says, hey, we're here in your area, we're gonna install your service. I'm like, okay. So that's how spirit works with me. Like when I'm like basically burned to ashes, you're like, oh, by the way, you want some, maybe something to not burn you, kill. Yeah. And then, so the Telmex came, and then it was funny because when they came, even Telmex in their Telmexness could not install my service. They tried up and down and up and down, and they had to talk to my landlady, and they went through like an hour and a half. Finally, they installed my service. So that was my plan A for my apartment. That fell through. That was my thing for internet. Then I bought this chair because I have in my place, like it's not a big thing, and I have this counter, and I bought this tall chair to work with the counter. But I really never really liked this tall chair. It was uncomfortable, and it kind of felt scary, but I wanted to work with the counter. It was a stool height. And then I was sitting the other night, like on Tuesday, on my chair, although I didn't really like it, but it was, I was using the counter space. And while I was sitting on that chair, there was a thing. And by the way, when I created the chair, or when I assembled it, it had no instruction manual. So I had to kind of figure it out, like by, virtue of God, to see how to put this thing together. And it came with some weird thing, a key screw thing, which I couldn't really put together. I had to ask my friend to come do it because it was broken. Anyways, I put this damn chair together, and I'm sitting there. 2 days later, it explodes, right? And my Nadia, my partner, tells me, we should get a chair, smaller table. And so I get this table because, the place is not that big. And then I get this thing, and but then I have to figure out all the, how to put everything, how to put the chair, because I wanted to get a really comfortable chair, but that really comfortable chair would no longer work with the counter thing. So I'm like, okay, well, let's see what happens. So I go to, I take back this broken chair. Oh, first of all, so I go to Office Depot. I go to Office Depot and I tell the guy that your chair exploded. Will you take it back? And the guy's like, well, let's see. We have a 7-day policy. Your thing was 30 days or 20 days ago. So no, you're not taking it back. And also you don't have a box, you're not taking it back. But then I insist with my limited Spanish, and the guy is like, finally the manager comes and he's like, he looks at things and he looks at what's going on and it's like, sure, whatever, bring the chair, I'll see what I can do. So I come home, the chair is disassembled. I have to disassemble the chair to carry it, but I can't disassemble it. So I call the Uber guy and he comes and says, can you put this chair somehow in your car? So this poor guy puts the chair in the car when it's sticking out of the trunk. And I take the chair back, and the manager, actually today I have to check, but the manager supposedly gives me my money back. And he takes the chair back, he breaks the law, he doesn't do what the corporation is supposed to do, which is 7-day return, and without a box. He's not supposed to do that. He gives me my money back, as I said, supposedly. I haven't really looked at my thing. And I bring the chair and I assemble the chair. So that was plan A to plan B for the chair. And even the chair, this chair here, which I love, one of the handles didn't have the right screw alignment. So I had to ask Nadia to help me, and we worked on it for an hour to put the handle. So sorry about the very gory details, but you asked. So
I was just thinking that you, I said, I did ask the question, didn't I? Yeah.
You did. And I told you plan A to plan B, and you see how it was. And these are really stupid, simple things. Rental, internet, share in your whatever, your Western country of America or Canada, you would not have these problems. But here, I had.
So what does this have to do with a 51-year-old man now? 50? 51? Yeah.
Me, I'm gonna be 53 in a couple of months.
Okay, a 53-year-old man who completely understands the idea that we are manifesting our own destiny and our own reality. So what did it tell you, all of this stuff?
Well, Randall, the thing is, I don't really necessarily look at it that way. I look at it at my own level of mastery, because I was dealing with it was a transition, and it was a transition that I was bracing for and emotionally ready for. But these things that happened, and when I told you the internet thing was horrible, because it put together all the things that I fear and I hate the worst. I mean, I can handle human life and I can handle Matrix pretty well. What I can't handle is not knowing what the hell is going to happen. And every day, a company calling you and say, oh, by the way, you are still working on your thing, without giving me a single date, not being able to get any information out of them, and being able to handle that. That was huge for me. And then they call me when I already had committed with somebody else, and because I want to take the high road, and I also wanted to punish them for the crappy company. That was another thing, that here is me. What are the chances that these mofos don't contact me for 2 weeks? And the moment I have committed to somebody else, that's when they call me. So you see that, Randall, that there were levels of things that were going, and they would completely even 5 years ago or 3 years ago, they would just make me go, sit in a corner and hug myself and say, "Not, I don't know what the fuck to do." Even the chair that I'm telling you might sound silly and stupid. It was a pain. And being able to handle all of this and be sitting here in December, having solved all these problems in the most amazing, miraculous way, that's what matters to me. It's not so much about manifesting that, oh, I manifested all these problems, or this. It's not about that. It's about, I am at a level in my journey, I am at a level in my game that whatever matrix throws at me, although I don't create any of it, I don't ask for any of it, I can just say, is that your best, you motherfucker, and I'm gonna do it. And that was the feeling. That's where I'm sitting right now. I am sitting exactly where I want to be sitting, doing exactly what I'm doing in the face of a very difficult transition, and having done it in my own terms without anybody's help and going against the matrix. I wrote the other day that it's not, some people choose to obey the matrix. Those are the people who get this thing and watch the media. And some people say, okay, well, I'm just gonna not deal with the matrix. And I don't know what the hell you can do if you not deal with the matrix, because you are in the matrix. Maybe you can sit in, live in your car and eat leaves or something. But to be able to go inside the matrix, change the people, like, to me, it was a huge thing to be able to have the guy at Office Depot change their policy for me.
Yeah.
To me, and you know this because you're a magician, you have people change who they are, change their programming, change their tree hole folder thing that they follow as a drone, as a programmed entity. That's what matters to me. When I say, okay, and all I have is basically my own crazy insistence and belief that I can do this, and I'm not following and falling for anything.
Yes, and it was the end product that you kept focused on, that you would be sitting here talking to us on a beautiful live feed internet situation in your new home. So you went through the processes with that, not worrying about the house, just finally ending up where you wanted to be.
That's the key right there. It's like the problem with humanity, and this is what I have said so many times, is that people are so stuck and afraid and looking for the result, and nobody wants to go through the process. Everybody wants to be at the destination, and nobody wants to be journeying. And I was at a fucking journey this whole month, and I did not give up. And this is, and I've maybe said this to William or somebody, but I don't see you or me, you have beaten cancer, you have done things, you have dealt with bankruptcy. I don't unfortunately see a lot of people being able to do this because they don't have our operating system. I was born with a different mission from a different reality, from a different timeline, with probably thousands of times of incarnation training for this crazy day. And I look at 90% of the people, they don't have that training. And it's super hard for them. I dealt with something which is a black belt 10th degree like me in this, had a hard time. And then people, put this thing on their face for something that 99.90.7 and listen to CNN all day. It's, we are living in extremely different realities, and I don't find fault with them because everything they have been told from the day they were born, all the history, all the way to Pasteur, is a complete lie. And all they're doing is following that lie.
I'm wanting to jump in here, and Randall, I kind of feel like I'd like for you to share a little bit about what's going on in your world as well, but also I feel like you might be able to also allow us to open the door to meeting Faye and Dawn in a little bit more space. You know them better. You might know what you want to chat about, but I wanted to check with you first because you were saying you had so much fun with the latest variable that is going around right now. I'll call it variable because who knows, that could be another word in the blacklist, but I thought variable might be a good term.
Yeah, well, I'll keep it short because I mean, I have my own YouTube channel that everybody can listen to me blab way on all week long. But yeah, it was a fun week when they came out with that word. I mean, there's other people that are attaching it to a movie and attaching it to some old TV series and things like this, and I'm like, no, I like the moronic. That is so much more fun, you know. And they get, you know, I attack. I'll use the word attack when it comes to these suit wearing boys and men, you know, that I encounter all the time downtown because I'm down there a lot, you know, in the downtown core. And I just, you know, I pretend I'm talking on the phone or something like that when I'm close to them so that they can hear me out loud say, did you hear about the mix up of the letters, how it's moronic, you know, and things like that. And I just had so much fun, but I'll keep it short at that. And then, yes, I want to move on to visiting with Dawn and Faye. And Dawn and Faye work in the realms of help. I'm going to say serving people. Sorry, I was going to say helping people, but helping and serving are two different levels or two different categories, I think. In terms of helping, it puts a level in there. It puts some kind of hierarchy or something, like you're the doctor and you're going to be able to do it. But serving is a beautiful thing. And Dawn shared a little short document with me that just really sung home on that. So I think I'd like to pass it to Dawn and Faye to maybe chat about that a little bit and get us started into what they do as far as serving humanity.
I don't know what to say. I mean, I am just a kind of a newly awoken person, not woke person, awoken person, and I had seen things coming over the years, but I was in a cult for many years. So I just woke up in 2014 from the cult. And so it's been a process to recover from this, to recover from this cognitive dissonance, which is what, after 5 years, I finally feel fully competent again. And as far as serving people, that's a big thing. I want to help people get out of the cult. But then I was awakened again with what's going on in the world. So it's been 2 awakenings in a matter of 6 years. So I mean, that is an important thing too. I want to help people, serve people as far as how these children have been dealt with, and people that are still asleep, and how they're going to experience terrible shock and terrible disruption in their lives when they realize that they've been living this lie. And many of them are my fleshly family, So it's a big undertaking ahead of us. And that's basically what I'm looking forward to, serving people in that regard. Awesome. In a nutshell. So you're on.
And she's also a great cook, so she serves that every day. So yeah, I basically started off as a research mathematician and college math teacher back in the 60s and early 70s. Got disillusioned with that and ended up getting into real estate sales, did residential real estate for about 3 years, and then got into investment brokerage. I had a company for about 20 years helping investors buy and sell apartment complexes in the southeast U.S. And then as a result of what I call eucatastrophic experience that we all have, something that seemed horrible at the time, but if we have the right attitude, it puts us in a better direction. In 1990, I had a couple of eucatastrophic events that put me on a whole different direction, questioning, how life works really, and spent a lot of money and time on my own healing journey, and learned a lot of things about intuition and consciousness and energy and how our thoughts are related to physical reality. And as a result of what I thought was just another training in 2003, that sort of put a lot of pieces together for me. And at that time, actually February 2003, I was told, I say God, a higher power, whatever you want to, but I got a very clear message that I was supposed to do this full time to serve people with all the stuff I had learned. And I argued with God for 2 years on that one because I had just come out of a 11-year financial turmoil, which is another story. But I had just gotten back on level playing field at a time in my life when I thought I would be financially secure. And so I argued with God for 2 years. It's like, I don't know really, how am I going to do this? And you know what happens when you argue with God? You always lose. So,
but then you win too.
Well, exactly. That's the only way you win. So in January 2005, I shut down my real estate business and fully committed to, what I've been doing, life coaching. Basically, sharing with people things I've learned about what really causes emotions and some very simple techniques to deal with them. And, what I call concepts. I mean, I've always been a concept person. I like to learn a core concept and then see how you can apply it in so many ways. So that's really kind of the basis of, really my life and my work is very congruent. And, Faye and I met a few years ago, and she's added a lot to my life and, in many ways. So, and the basis of our relationship really is personal spiritual growth. I mean, one of the things I do with clients, right off the bat, if they're going to do a program, is to get them to identify their life priorities and see how congruent they are. And, my experience is most people never even think about life priorities. And once they really, get honest with what their priorities are, 90 to 95%, their actions, their thoughts, words, actions are not congruent. And so, that's sort of a core principle. If a person just gets congruent, then their life becomes a lot better. And then there's other issues about your core belief systems and how that causes your thinking and, what I call the cycle of creation. Your beliefs determine how you think. Your thinking determines your feeling, determines your behavior, determines the results. And so you got to, some people, if you've got a good functional belief system, and everybody knows people like that, they may not even know what their belief system is, but they just things like I can tell with Randall, the little, that I've been around him, that somehow, somewhere along the way, he has developed some very healthy belief systems that allows him just to, people look at him and they probably think, damn, you got such an easy life. You're always smiling. You're always happy. And, even though he may not have a pot to piss in, or when he had when he had millions of, my guess is when he had millions of dollars and where he is now, that people from the outside don't have a clue. they think he still has millions of dollars. And, you know, so it's just been an interesting journey. And that's all there is a journey. I don't think there's any end point. It's just a journey. And if you can't enjoy the journey, you know, you're missing life. So.
Wow. Wow. There's a lot of food for thought there. We could go down many different paths with what was shared right there. I thought of a few things, but I think I will just out of respect for our other guests, we'll jump to some of the other folks, but I'd love to come back and talk a little bit more about some of the things that both Don and Faye were talking about. That's got me all fascinated and everything. So I'd love to know a little bit more about that. But I want to check in with Benjamin, and Anna's back there in the background. She jumped in here a little while ago as well. Benjamin, how are you? And we lost you there for a minute, but I think you're back now. And
Yeah.
what's going on in your world? What are your current challenges, and what, I know you said you were looking forward to 2022 sort of in your own way, because things are looking kind of rosy, but can you tell us a little bit more and what's going on with you?
Well, you know, when all this thing started, you know what I mean? You share it with people, and some of them took you for the word that Randy used, moron, you know. But now, every now and then, when you call me, sometimes I will be busy like with on the phone, just trying to explain to them. They will call, hey, what is happening? This thing that you said some time ago, we are beginning to see, you know, what is happening around us. So what do you think? And then you explain, this thing that you said. So about the children and so on and so forth. So, I mean, that is what is going on. The people are, what it implicitly means is that people are beginning to wake up, and they are asking questions that they should have asked some time ago. So it's like now you are doing overtime, you know, answering their questions. And something happened to me some time ago. It occurred to me that, you know, all these things that you are telling them, some of them they don't believe, some of them are on the internet, some of them have been even pulled away from YouTube. What you have to do now, and I had a full, you know, knowledge of what is going to happen, that people are going to, when their eyes start, you know, opening and they start asking questions, you will need to do overtime by talking and talking. So save some of these files, okay? So what I did was I was able to save a lot of this information in audio format, and then what do you call it, in picture format. So whenever you ask me a question, I just go through those files and then just, you know, send it back to you. I say read and then do your own research. But even with that, they will still come back and say, so you mean all these things was happening around us, and we thought, you know, you were, you know, out of your mind, you know. And then I only take them back to the movie They Live. If you have watched that movie before, They Live, where there's two guys. This guy found out that the people who were walking around them were not humans, so to say. That whenever he wore the glass, he saw that the billboards actually changed. And for instance, a billboard with somebody at the Caribbean suddenly becomes, you know, obey the president or obey your leaders. And then when he takes the dollar sign, it's the dollar bill is a normal paper bill for purchasing. But whenever he puts on the glasses, then they say, this is your God. So it's like this guy didn't even believe the first time. And he was trying to like tell the other partner, but the other partner also wouldn't believe until after a series of struggles and fight, this guy finally, took the spectacle on, and then he saw the reality around them. Okay, and said, when did this thing come? He said, no, you have to. I don't know when they came around, but you have to find a solution so that we have to deal with them. And that is my reality now. My reality now is that people are beginning to wake up, and their weakness is bringing a lot of job. And I think it will be so in the coming days in our lives also. The people who are around us will be asking questions, what is happening? Because I wouldn't like to mention them, but what is happening in the courts? When I say courts, the highest court in America now is, blowing a lot of things up. And if you look at what is the mass resignation that is also happening around, has to tell you a lot of things, that there are more things to come in the coming days. So that is my reality, and people are asking questions, and I'm trying to, at best, answer them and also lead them to where they can find more, resources to satisfy their quest. So that is it.
What I'm trying to find out is where can we get the glasses that you got? Because you must have those magic glasses.
Okay, those glasses. This movie, They Live. The movie They Live. If I think it was on YouTube, but YouTube took it off. They Live. It was free, and those glasses were actually in the movie. It was a pseudo kind of church which was operating. They also knew what it was happening, So you go to the church, there was always, worship going on in the church, until this guy one day entered into the church and he saw that there were no people in the church. It was like a tape recorder which had been, put in, and it was, going on loop, looping and then praying or playing this Christian worship music all the time. And these people were also under the guise of NGO, but within this NGO setup, they were manufacturing these glasses for the people who got to know the truth, or the people who accepted their words, what they were proclaiming in the street. And the guy took some few. In fact, you have to watch the movie They Live, because I think it's relevant for our times now, of what is happening around. So
Now, I was joking with you, obviously, but I recently saw the movie, and I actually saw it on YouTube too. I guess before they took it down. I'm surprised that they did take it down. The main actor was actually a wrestler.
yeah.
Not an Olympic wrestler, like, sort of like the WWE and all of those different wrestling organizations in America. His name was Rockin' Rodney Pfeiffer. And
yeah,
and they had, apparently it's this really big fight scene with the guy he was trying to convince that, there really is something else going on here. You just got to wear these glasses. And the guy would not put on the glasses. And they went through this fight, and they tore the town up, literally fighting each other. It's known as the most classic fight scene of the late 80s, because of the movie came out around that time. So it was, not exactly an Oscar nominated type of movie, but it was still kind of fun to watch. So I know exactly the movie of which you speak, but yeah, it was
the black guy's name was Kite David. Frank.
Was that
in the movie?
Yeah, what was it in the movie?
Rodney Piper was Nada, and Kite David was Frank, the friend.
Right.
And yeah, so you can find it out maybe on one of these online streaming channels, and then watch. But I think it's relevant in our time. And what the summary or the main point in this movie was to take the frequency, the satellite, which was sitting on top of the broadcasting house, the media house, which was beaming the signals into the minds, or beaming the signals And this signal sort of blinded the eyes of the people. And they were able to pull the tower down. But it cost the lives of one of them, okay? So that is what is going to, happen. It's not going to be just a mere, what do you call it? But in the end, the good side wins.
Hamid, did you want to add something, Hamid, to?
So I actually made the video about this on YouTube and they pulled it. I'm looking for my link. The classes you're talking about exist, William. There's a substance that I was looking for, I think called dionysin or something. I'll look for it. It's a type of a dye. And when you put this dye on, you can actually see into the astral. And
wow.
Yeah, I'll find the link and then I'll put it in the chat here. But what happens is this substance right now in the US, if you look for this, I'm not sure if it's dionysin, I don't remember the name. There was actually a guy that was selling it on somewhere, and like he disappeared after a week or something. And so this substance is so controlled that it's harder to get this blue dye that is harder than get heroin or something.
Wow.
It's extremely scheduled, extremely like it's national security and all that stuff. And you know, and I had a conversation with somebody about this, and I'm like, I'm actually happy this is the case, because I can't imagine the muggles, normies, whatever you want to call them, if people could see what the world we live in. I mean, Gene Deco's latest thing, he says, there are not actually 7.5 billion people on this planet. There's only 4.3 billion. It's a lie. That's not the number. And of that, only 1.3 billion are human. So the rest, you know, if you could actually see this, and if you're whatever, you know, the checkout girl or the FedEx guy or the plumber could see this, the world would be an absolute, it would be going insane. So I don't believe things like that should happen until people are ready for it. But I'll look for the link to my thing and I post it here.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have such a diverse group of people here. It's kind of cool and a little challenging when you have to try to figure out how do all these things tie in together. I think for a moment, I'll take a minute here and actually say a few things myself, because in the last couple of days, some things have been happening for me, and also, you know, Hamid made very brief mention of it, but I'm actually working with Hamid now, and will be doing so for the next 6 months or so, at least. And we had a session this past Sunday, and one of the things that was really interesting that came up for me was just how much self-criticism that's there, not necessarily in the form of criticism, but sort of more of a pickiness kind of thing. So we went down that path, which was, you know, quite fascinating. And I won't get into it too deep, but I have noticed a certain level of discomfort that I've been feeling this week, just around my life, and noticing that there's a, like, for me, things manifest sort of in a form of money or lack of money, but sort of that's my tool. That's the thing that seems to come back into my life over and over and over again as something that brings up challenge or you know, brings up discomfort. And it's obviously meant for me to be some kind of a tool to learn lessons that I need to learn, whatever those lessons are. And last night I was meditating, and I was particularly troubled and going, you know, why does my mind seem to, like a hamster on a wheel, seems to go back to that same kind of thinking over and over and over again? And the thinking is that I've got this, like, I've got a couple of businesses. The cool part is that as I've grown older in life, I've been able to generate more money into my life, but I don't necessarily keep a lot of that money. So, before, let's say I was working at a certain level where I was, making a couple of thousand a month and thought that was the way to go. And I'd bring in certain money, but it was always inside of that sort of little world. But then I moved into a different level and started to get involved in real estate. That's why I was interested in what Don had said, his real estate side of things. And I got involved in that for a while, and that really up-leveled all of the money in my world. And then all of a sudden I started a business, and then since then started another business too. And I won't get into all of the details of that because we'd be here for a long time. But what I noticed in the meditation was that I kept focusing in on what was bugging me. I kept focusing in on the problem and the solution to the problem. Like I kept saying, how can I solve this? I am a powerful being. I can create my own reality. How can I solve this? How can I get through this? And I was always coming from a place of solving. So there were two things that came up there. And I'm sure Hamid and I will probably talk about this when we get together the next time. But the first thing is, in order to see a solution, you have to keep looking at the problem. And if I'm constantly getting stuck, then I'm looking at the problem and focusing in on the problem. And the more you stay sort of stuck in that loop of the problem, then you continue in the problem. Now I was thinking about, actually similar to what Don had said about his experience of Randall, is that he notices Randall always seems to be this happy-go-lucky guy, and seemingly like his life is just wonderful. And yet he lives a very simple life. And by Randall's own admission, he doesn't have a lot of, coin in his pocket, and he's totally okay with that. He's totally fine, where a lot of us are kind of been controlled or led to believe, or led down a certain path to think that if you're only a success if you only have a lot of bucks in your pocket, if you have a lot of money. And so that's kind of what I thought as well. And so I had sort of two little, I call it little mini revelations, last night and this morning, even lying in bed. I was thinking, okay, first of all, if I'm continuing down this loop and I'm focused on the problem and not that I'm a powerful being able to create whatever I want in my life, then I just need to switch what I'm focusing on. So, I want to focus on, I do want to focus on the solution. I do want to focus on realizing that I can overcome this obstacle. At the same time, what also has been shared with me in the recent past is sometimes if you are trying to get away from something, you're not looking at that something, whatever that something is. You're not accepting that something. And sometimes it's just as important to accept where you are and be okay with it. Like, let yourself be okay with it. Now, it may mean that you have to get upset or angry, or a bunch of different emotions come up. And the tendency for a lot of folks, and me included, is to stuff those feelings down and say, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to feel angry, or I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to, feel sorry for myself, because that means weakness. Like sometimes those things get, correlated when it aren't necessarily true. So, I think there's a part of that as well that I'm not looking at. So that might be something Hamid and I will be working on. But, I just think, there are times, Don, when I said to myself, oh gosh, I wish I could have a life like Randy's got. But the truth is, it's just a choice. And if I can make a different decision and make a different choice, yeah, there might be some emotional roadblocks to getting there. But I also know that Randall does certain routines and exercises and activities in his life that I think support that kind of lifestyle as well. And so that's kind of where I'm at. Like, one of the things that I've felt like I've needed to do my whole life is that I felt like I was completely unsupported. I felt like there was no one really backing me, that if I wanted what I ultimately wanted in my heart, that I needed to get it and create it and do it myself. And I think that's the other thing that's coming to me as well, is if I don't share with anyone what's going on, then I can't leave myself open to other people's, I was going to say help, but other people's service. How about that? Other people's support. So ultimately, I want to describe a little bit about the challenge that I'm facing, because I'm also excited about the flip side of it, because I do see opportunity there. I'm very excited about the opportunity. I sell a set of products that's actually it's a soap product. It's liquid soap, and it was created by a gentleman in very close to your state, actually, I think, where you are, Don. I think, like, I know that they're in Louisiana now as far as where they bottle the product, but I think he was somewhere in the South. I'm not sure exactly which state, but the product is called Miracle 2, and it's a soap product. And he, did that sound familiar, Don?
Oh yeah, I've heard about that for many years.
Yeah, well, I'm selling it on Amazon and on eBay, and I'm loving selling it. It's working for me. I made a big mistake. Well, I made a mistake. I won't say big or small, but I made a financial error in selling the product on Amazon back in February and March, where I thought I was making money on a sale. I was actually losing money, and I made a lot of sales in a short period of time and ended up eating into almost all of my operating budget. And now I'm just literally, with COVID and all that other stuff going on, I'm just kind of hanging on, and for months, the last 6 months, I've been debating, am I going to be moving back with the folks, and am I going to let all this go? And always something seemed to come up that just helped me in just the right moment. But it was always just enough. It was never, it was never like I've won a lottery and woohoo, this is, now I've got everything I need. But there's some journey, there's some message here for me to learn still, obviously. But I was successful in the business, and I'm still selling the product, and I'm still doing well within the means that I have. But the means, it's like operating out of a phone booth, and the phone booth is wet, and it's actually made of shrinkable material, and it feels like it's shrinking on me. So I just feel like I'm getting closed in on. But yet at the same time, I feel like there's so much promise and potential. And the other side of it, which I shared with Randall, I think privately before, is that I love my computer. I love doing things on the computer. I love selling things online. I love that kind of thing. But what I don't love is the experience I have of dealing with people who are selling things on the internet. I feel like it's so impersonal. And then when it does become a little bit personal, it ends up, to me, seeming like they're always really only after the money that they can get from me, rather than any concerns or interests in my own life or in my own journey with, whatever product they just sold me. And I thought, I grew up in a small town. I always loved that human connection. And I love that ability when you walk into a brick and mortar store and you say hello to the guy behind the till, and they know you, and you strike up a conversation, and you tell him what you need, and he's not trying to sell you the next whiz bang popular thing that's lighting up the store shelves and going out like hotcakes, that kind of thing. He actually is there to help me get what I want, what I need, that will help my current situation. And if that whiz bang thing doesn't fit, he doesn't try to push it on me. And so that's kind of what I like. I want to be able to create the ability to sell a great product like the Miracle 2 product is, but do it to the people who really want it, who really use it, who really find it useful for them, and create a kinship with those people. I don't necessarily want to have thousands and thousands of people following me. I'd rather have a closer connection with a few hundred people that just feel comfortable with working with me, feel served by me, and feel that they can trust me and they can work with me. So in my situation, what I'm ultimately looking for is I'm looking for an investor. I'm looking to generate and create $40,000 in American dollars so that I can use that in my business to buy product, which will help me increase the amount of sales, which are in turn provide me revenue, which I can feed back into the business and make it grow to a certain point. So the challenge I'm having is asking people for help. I've had a number of someone who offered help to my father when I told my dad a little bit about this, and I have been procrastinating and calling them and even asking. So there's just, those are the kinds of challenges I'm facing in my life right now. And on one side, I'm super excited about what the potential can bring, and on the other side, I'm terrified. Can I make it through the winter months? And where I am in Vancouver here, we've had some like really heavy rains, to the point that almost all of, like at one point a few weeks ago, and I don't know how the status is now, but a few weeks ago, every single road in our country that led to Vancouver, you couldn't pass because bridges had been washed out, there've been mudslides. So basically people in the lower mainland area where Vancouver is couldn't get out, and people couldn't get through. And a lot of course, everything seems to come through Vancouver to get to the rest of the province. So we're facing challenges as a province, both in Vancouver as well as the rest of the province, as far as getting the goods like groceries and things that get on the bookshelf, the store shelves, to help people in other parts of the province. So there's a lot of challenges going on right now in our part of the world. But that's kind of what's going on in my life. And I don't know why I shared that, but I felt like I wanted to share that just because normally I don't like to share with people what challenges or problems I'm facing. But I thought if I do that, it helps me to open up a door to whatever else can come. And just remind myself that I am the solution. I may not be able to solve my own problem right now, because maybe part of the solution is being able to be open and willing to have others come and help. Or maybe there's some other thing, who knows? I won't know until I experience it. I think that's really what's going on here with me. So that's my scoop. I don't know if anyone feels.
I wanted to
jump in.
say, William, that what you said, one of the greatest, most horrible things that happened on this planet is a program of suffering. Suffering is actually a program, and the way they made it happen is by having humans cross their wires. So we feel good when we feel bad, and we feel bad when we feel good. This has been programmed into us. And having worked with you a little bit, this was a big thing for you. So the way feeling good, feeling bad works is that, let's say you just got an A and you're an 8-year-old child, and your sister got a D, and you're so happy you did well, but your sister who did badly is going to get punished. And this happens over and over and over again, until finally, when you get the A, you actually feel bad because your sister is going to get punished. So the way the humanity has been programmed and Matrix has been designed is that we feel good when we feel bad, and we feel bad when we feel good. And it's like, okay, well, I am on this cross getting crucified, or I'm getting whipped. I feel bad. Okay, I feel good because I deserve it. Like, this is happening so much. The most important ability to have, and I see that in Randall, and I have some of that, is that the ability to feel bad when you feel bad, which is very strange. But humans are horrible at being able to feel bad. When they feel bad, they run away from it. If they feel bad, they try to deny it. They feel bad. The most common thing that humans do is numbness, which is why entertainment is the biggest industry, most lucrative thing, because everybody all the time wants to be just numb. We numb ourselves with alcohol, drugs, food, TV, gambling,
Work.
stupid work, Facebook, meaningless sex, whatever the hell you can think of, we find a way not to sit here and feel that fucking pain. And what I see you right now in you, William, is that you are acknowledging your own pain. You are acknowledging your own troubles. You are no longer in that space of trying to gloss over it, trying to numb it out, trying to appear okay. You are actually speaking your truth, which is extremely, amazingly awesome that you're doing it, because this is William 2.0. William of before, I would never, I've listened to several of these things, and you never shared that candidly. And to speak this candidly in front of the world, that means that you are going through something that you're no longer allowing yourself to just gloss over everything. Because what we do as humans, we just gloss over everything. We just put a nice little sheet on the corpse there, or on a dead cat there, or on a rotten pizza here. It's like, oh, everything is perfect. And my life is awesome. And everything is great. Ha, ha, ha. And to be able to say, okay, that's my dead cat, that's my rotten pizza, that's my mutilated leg. It's like, okay, great, I can see it. And thus, because I can see it, I can do something about it. If I can't see it, then until the day ends and everybody's dead and I am dead, I'm sitting and like up to here in a quicksand, basically fucking sinking and not saying anything, and not saying, like, oh, let me support you, let me talk about the world problems with you. Like, well, I am basically literally, and this is what's happening on the planet right now. Everybody is like going down these quicksands, like, oh, let me get another thing in my arm, and that will make everything work, right? But when you say, okay, I am in quicksand, okay, I am in quicksand, let me see what the hell I can do. And when you see that, when you acknowledge that, and that's why when we stop feeling good when we feel bad, and we stop feeling bad when we feel good, when we feel bad when we feel bad, that's when we actually can start feeling good when we feel good. And that's the journey.
Thank you, Hamid. Anna raised her hand, so I'd like to bring Anna in, and she wanted to say a few things. I think Randall might want to say something here too. But Anna first.
Okay. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm not going to go on video, but my face is not really recordable right now. But I want to say thank you, William, because you said you don't know why you're sharing all of that, but I know exactly why you shared all of that, because you opened the door for me. Because I am the same kind of person that doesn't share problems with others. And there were so many things you just said that didn't let me, like, I have to share, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I just can't bottle it up again. And I was hesitant if I should come here today or not, because I'm in a horrible mood. So I know I'm not gonna share anything positive with anyone. So why would I even be here? But then I was like, maybe there is something I need to hear. So I came 30 minutes late, but whatever. And the moment I came in, Hamid was speaking, and I knew exactly that it is for me, because it was about the creation and the challenges and everything. And that's exactly what I'm going through right now. And but I even texted you that I'm not gonna speak today, and then you spoke, and and you opened the door for me. And it's like, it's very true, because many times we know the theory, like we know we're the creators, we know what we're supposed to do, but then we get caught up in these feelings, in this suffering, and we're in this freaking vicious.
Come back.
I just paid my rent 2 days ago. So can you?
Just breaking up a little bit
Oh
here.
God. Oh God, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh Jesus, no. Yeah, it was time. I don't know why, but I'm right here at home, so on Wi-Fi, so I don't know why. Sorry.
That's okay.
So I'm in this freaking vicious circle when I know, but somehow I cannot. I feel stuck and I cannot apply it in my own life. And like, I just paid my rent, and I don't know where the money is gonna come from for the rest of the month and for the next rent and whatever. And I'm stuck in this 3D, and I don't know how to create. And it was very helpful what you were saying about the product you're selling, because I have a product and somehow I am unable to take it out to people and to offer it to people. And I don't know what's stopping me, because there is nothing objectively that is stopping me. It's just the inside thing. And I'm even more frustrated with myself. And it's funny that you were talking and you mentioned the $40,000, because yesterday the day I was going to the ATM for the rent for my money, the person that was using the ATM before me left the uh left the receipt, right?
Yep.
And I looked at the receipt, and there was the balance of this account was 40,000. And I was going to throw it away, but I looked at it and I'm like, my God, I really wish I my bank account to go to this $40,000. Like, I remember those moments when I was still in Miami, and I was setting up financial goals for myself. And like every time I was going to the ATM, was it was this joy. And now it was the opposite feeling, because I was taking out the money, and after taking out the money, I have $60 left. And how am I supposed to live for the month with $60, right? And so I have the receipt on this person. I took it to my car. I put it in the compartment, and I'm like, nah, I'm going there. I'm going for the 40,000. And yesterday I put down on the paper this 40 freaking $1,000 on the have to sell and there daily, right? And it's funny that you mentioning the same amount that you need. Like, And I wrote down everything. I made a structure, and right after that, towards achieving that, went to fucking movie, like to distract myself and not to again, right? And it's like, and today I woke up in the morning and this anxiety, like after I woke up, was like so overwhelming that I didn't even get up from the bed yet, and I started to cry. And I'm crying since 8 in the morning. It's 12:30. So you guys have to understand why I'm not willing to show my face right now, but I just don't know how to make the first step to get out of it, you know? And I know that this whole conversation is for me to, I don't know, maybe someone's gonna just to open myself for help, basically. So yeah, that's, I think that's the end of my rambling.
Okay, thank you, Randall.
Oh God, first off, I just want to say how much I love you, Anna. And it's, you know, how hard it is to be authentic like that and to just tell your story. But what you're doing is serving now. Like, I'm observing what you said so ahead of time, and I'm not here to help you, but I'm here to serve you. And I mean, it's so beautiful for you to reflect what a lot of us are feeling, okay, is that despair of where it's going to come from, okay? But once we stop seeking where it's going to come from and telling, you know, Cody brought this up last week on our little journey to service thing. He said, when you stop seeking, or you can tell the people that are still seeking the truth and those that are telling the truth. What you just did, Anna, was tell the truth. Thank you. Now you don't have to seek because you're telling the truth, and the truth will come to you because you're going to now see the solution. And to start off with, thank God that your rent is paid for the next month. So that's thankful, gratitude right there. Thank God you're here with us, telling us the truth so that we can serve you in a manner of spiritual support, not helping, but spiritually loving you, just simple as that. And thank God for TAO Eternally channel, because we know you and we know how powerful you are. And, you know, you've overcome things that nobody on this group has overcome. And Don and Faye don't know that about you, but we do. So, you know, just by telling the truth, you don't have to seek. You've already done it. Like, I can see and I'm not talking from a sense of just my typical optimistic attitude, which is important. I don't deny that. But telling that despair is just what Hamid was saying. Tell the suffering, let it out. Like, I want to cry with you right now. And then we can get it out there together. Because we love you. And we is the key here right now. Hearing you tell the truth. Everything's going to be fine because we are together and we are spiritually one. And we will solve this. Not help it, not assist it, but solve it. It's a beautiful thing that you've just done, dear. I'm so thankful to you for telling the truth. That's what authenticity is about.
Thank you, Randy.
I don't want to put Don and Faye on the spot, but I kind of feel like I have the urge that I wanted to just touch with you and see if there's anything that came up through any of that last little bit conversation that you might want to speak to.
Yeah, well, there's a lot that came up for me. One thing is that, and yeah, I don't know anything about either you or Anna, but it really gets back to the cycle of creation. Uh, William, you mentioned a couple of things that are core beliefs, probably that you can't count on anyone else. You have to do it yourself. You may have a belief where you really can't trust anyone. So you probably have some core beliefs going on that are keeping you in this loop, and possibly the same thing for Anna. And one thing that popped into my mind right off, and that I would be willing to do if anybody's interested, I'd be willing to do an hour and a half program, experiential program, sharing some techniques to deal with some of these things that will help. Some of the techniques that I use basically go directly to the subconscious. In other words, consciously, there's things that we could think about all day. For instance, it's not unusual at all. Most of my clients are adults, but I would say almost 100% of the time when we get into dealing with life issues that are going on right now, it comes to something that when they were a kid. I mean, there's like a couple of techniques that we use that are basically just focusing on a problem that's going on right now, and then you just go through a process of holding some acupressure points and a few other parts of the system, and you just observe what comes up. And I'd say, it's amazing how often somebody be 55 years old dealing with the problem going on in their life right now, and going through this process, something pops up. It's like, oh, this is weird. I remember when I was 5 years old and such happens. So that was one thing. I'd be glad to do that if y'all are interested. And another thing I'll share from a personal perspective, as far as finances go, from 1990, I mean, I made a lot of money in real estate, and I paid, like a lot of people, I pegged my success to how much I produced, how many dollars that I could put in the bank, or how much money I could move around. It was, all ego type thing. I mean, I thought I was basically a good person, but it's like my sense of who I was tied to what I could produce. Well, in 1990, as a result of a divorce and the beginning of some major financial problems, from 1990 to 96, financially I was going down the tubes, where I ended up about $500,000 in debt by 1996 with no way to see how to get out of it. But during that time, as a result of some things that happened, that's what put me on a different track of spiritual, if you want to call it spiritual exploration. So from a perspective of personal growth, my life was going like this. Financially, it was going like this. And for all that time, I was constantly thinking about money, consciously and subconsciously. I mean, I'd get up and any of you that have had financial problems, there's something magical about 2 or 3 in the morning. You just get up in a cold sweat and you're scared shitless about how are you going to take care of things. So, I went through that for a long time. And so I was juggling, borrowing here to pay there and all that, but constantly thinking about, my constant thought was, I'm a good person. Money's not that important to me, but I just need to take care of stuff. If I just had enough money, everything would be fine. So, let's see, it was the Yeah, it was the fall of 19, when was it? Yeah, the fall of 1995. So I'd been doing all this personal growth work. I've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on borrowed money, following this path. And so it was and I was feeling like a loser. I felt hopeless. I didn't feel like I had anywhere to go. I couldn't borrow any more money. I was about at the end of it. Didn't know what I was going to do. So it was a cold, dreary December day in Alabama. And at the time I was living by myself, and I was in my den laying on the couch having a pity party, just feeling hopeless. And I was in kind of a lucid dream state. And in this lucid dream state, a man came to me and said, Don, I'll give you $10 million, no strings attached, except one. You have to go back to being who you were 6 years ago. And in the lucid dream, the answer was immediately no. And I kind of sat up. I got up and just consciously said, what? And then I pretended that what if someone was standing here in front of me offering me that kind of money, but I just had to go back to the consciousness that I had 6 years ago. And the answer was hell no. In that moment, I realized the value of the inner work I had been doing, even though externally it looked like shit. But but in that moment, I realized there was no amount of money that anyone could give me to go back to where I was. And it kept going downhill for a while. I mean, there's a whole story to it, but the bottom line is I never had to file bankruptcy. That never felt right to me. But some miracles started happening the following summer, 1996. And things kind of, turned around. So, the thing is, there's a difference between knowing about stuff and knowing, okay? I mean, part of my path over the last 30 years, I've been in different spiritual groups, study groups, and personal growth groups and all that. But what I found out pretty quickly, I never stayed very long, because I found that most people in those groups were good people, good intentions, knew about a lot of stuff, could talk the talk, but they weren't doing it. So for me, I would rather incorporate one principle in my life, in all areas of my life, than know about 20. And my journey over the last 30 years has basically been learning about what looked like important concepts and then focusing on incorporating those everywhere, personal, business, whatever. And it's scary. It's scary as hell sometimes. I mean, it's like the situation that Anna described. I mean, I could feel it. I've been there. I mean, I don't know, if you're in debt or, whatever, but I mean, I've been there. I've had creditors call me, all the time. And my credit, after I got out, when I started on the road back, I could not get a credit card with $1,000 limit on it. And before, I had a credit card with $50,000 limit, and I had a drawer full of, when you got good credit, they always want. So I had about $120,000 worth of credit cards that I never used, and the banks I dealt with, and I'm sure Randall, knows the thing too. So everybody's great friends with you as long as you're good financially. But it was very humiliating. It was embarrassing. It was a lot of stuff. But, the bottom line is that, and this is just my experience, that absolutely, speaking about priorities, for me, and I think this is probably true for everybody that really gets honest with it, the number one priority for me in life is personal spiritual growth. Period. And that's number one. That doesn't mean other things aren't important. Relationships, business, health, all that stuff. But my experience is all these other things, our bodies, our health, our money, is all impermanent. When these bodies are gone, the only thing we take is, in my belief, is whatever consciousness that we've developed, and that we take that somewhere else. I don't think that we just, everybody, the body's gone and then we're all, at some blissful place. Now, I think that a big purpose of being here is to have experiences in the physical realm that we wouldn't have without these bodies. So once you really understand and believe that, then when you get in tough situations, if you really have a connection with, if you want to call it spirit, God, higher power, whatever, but there's something beyond the intellect. And once you have a connection with that and trust it and know how to talk and to listen, and you follow directions, regardless of what logic says, then you have everything you need when you need it. And that's just the way it works. So anyhow, I was rambling a little bit, but yeah. So anyhow, the offer is, if sometime you want to schedule an hour and a half or 2 hours, I'll be glad to share a few things that I know where you can actually have some experiences of your own about how you can identify some core beliefs, a few techniques that you can use to quickly change your thinking and sometimes your belief system, and stuff you can just use in daily life. So, and Faye and I are, we appreciate being here. We always like to hang out with like-hearted people, and once I like the term losing your mind. My mind kept me in hell for 45 years. Once I lost my mind and found my heart, my life got a lot better.
Oh, beautiful.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Dawn, I'm going to ask you a favor then, if you don't mind, and just to mention to everyone on this call, we've already had a couple of people put in some cool links in the chat here. So unfortunately, we lose the chat once the call is ended. So grab those links. Dawn, if you can put your link in there as to how we can connect with you, that would be great. And that way Anna can grab it if she wants it. I know I want to reach out to you, Dawn, definitely, because I'm feeling called to what you just offered. So that's awesome. I can't believe how much time has already gone by. So we could go on for hours, I think, just on what we talked about here. We've covered a lot of diverse subjects as well, but I kind of want to just open the floor one last time to anyone who has any words that they want to say. They feel like they need to share something before they wrap up, but I think we're going to wrap up this call here pretty quick.
I just want to say something to Anna, that
I'll send this.
what Randall said was absolutely correct. We live in a world that everybody's lying all the time. Nobody shows their truth, authentic, what they're going through. And
Where do you send it?
this would bring me to tears the way it brought Randall to tears, because if any one of us, any one human wanted to actually speak about what we are experiencing, the pain we are having, then we would all see that we are all going through hell one way or the other. And one person says it the way you did it, with such being in it. There was no filtering it. There was no shying away from it. There was no denying it. And that, as Randall beautifully spoke about it, is a service, because it creates a certain bond, and it also gives other people courage to do so. So it's kind of funny that our pain, the way we are going through it, if we actually speak about that pain and accept where we are, in that, it's a medicine to ourselves and other people.
Thank you, Hamid.
Thank you so much for those words, and thank you guys for creating the space, the safe space to just to share that. And Don, thank you so much, and I'll reach out to you definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we got that information, Don. Thank you. So that's awesome. So one last, Randall, would you like to wrap up the call with one of your wonderful blessings?
Well, I don't know if I want to do that, but I want to say, support what Don was saying fully, that it's, you know, so much inner work that has to be done. And through that inner work, and the reason that I appear so jovial all the time is because I've discovered that the truth to this spiritual work is that I'll go in terms of backwards from the body, mind, spirit, and start with the spirit, which is God, which is source, which is whatever you want to put on it. And that is unconditional love and everlasting life. Okay, because it'll never end. The spirit, the unconditional love of the spirit will never end. So then when I go down into the other two, which is us, the body and the mind, the body being what, you know, we have to unconditionally love our body. That is our temple. We treat it with utmost respect. We love it to pieces, no matter what is going on. Unconditional love of the body. And then the mind being our story, okay? And whether that story is coming from the inner or from the outer, something experiential from the outer, again, find the love and unconditionally love your story, whoever it is. You know, I'm not specifying Anya or William or anybody. It's just love. And that's what's brought me to this state of communicating with people that are at the place of changing humanity. Okay, and that's the truth. That's who I deal with, is people that have this capacity to change humanity. And we bring each other unconditional love of each other's stories every day. So I'm just going to finish it with that. Unconditional love for you, Anya, and unconditional love for your story, which is ultimately about serving humanity. We know that you are dedicated to that, and whatever's happening privately for you now is going to pass, because you have such a heart and such a loving, unconditionally loving mind for story for humanity. So that's all I wanted to finish with. So
Great,
peace,
thank you.
happy, love, abundance, and freedom for everyone and everything every day.
You got it in there. Awesome. All right. Thank you all so much. We'll do this again for sure. Like I said, I felt like we just scratched the surface, but thank you all. Blessings all around.
Love you. See ya.
Thank you.